Hello, welcome to Life Coaching on the Move. I'm your host, Fiske. Welcome along. If this is your first occasion, your first listen, then I'm delighted that you found it. Thank you for joining me. Today we are talking about comfort zones, adapting to change, and resilience. I am, as you can hear, outside on a dog walk, which is often where I record, in the woods, in the countryside, in the gorgeous weather, because it's where I'm most peaceful and nobody is calling out for mum, so I'm less disturbed, but mostly because this is where I'm mostly creative. I don't have a script. I often don't even know what I'm going to say until I hear myself say it. But I speak from the heart, so you get very raw and very genuine content. I tell stories of many other coaching clients that I've used, never used names, or of my own, or of analogies and metaphors and things like that to sort of emphasize the learning. This podcast is very much designed for you to listen to wherever and whatever you're doing, and to gain tips for you to use in your everyday life so that you can grow your confidence and improve your mental health and your life generally by growing your confidence, because I do believe it's at the foundation of everything that we do in life. With more confidence, it has been proven time and time again, we are more likely to achieve and be happier. So it is definitely an area worth working on. And my passion is to help more people grow their confidence, and so that their life goes in a direction it wouldn't perhaps have done otherwise. So, a couple of just pointers. If you are new to this, there are over 50 episodes, previous episodes to listen to in the back catalogue. Particularly if you're going to pick any, the first 6 or 7 episodes sort of give the foundation of my coaching. So they would be the most useful to start with. And then there are all sorts there on all sorts of subjects. So they're worth a listen to. If you find this useful, please tell your friends. It would be great if you could, because it could be exactly what they need right now. Or if not the whole series, there will be a few in there that talk to them, and it's just what they need at times. So if you would share on your social media, or do a screenshot, or help them download it. However, the new announcement is it's about to go onto YouTube. I know that sounds bizarre because it's not visual, the podcast, but I am learning, I am adapting and controlling what's in my control. I am getting out of my comfort zone and learning how to put a podcast audio onto YouTube. So if your friends don't know how to listen to a podcast, most people know how to go onto YouTube. So let them know the title, or my name, Dawn Fiske at Milestone Coaching, and they will be able to listen to the podcasts on YouTube in about a week or so. So that may be a different medium that makes their life much, much easier. If you're interested in any other content, my website is www.milestone-coaching.co.uk for one-to-one coaching, all sorts of trainings, a speaker, if you're looking for a speaker for your team, whatever you're looking for, go to the website and you can contact me through that website. By the way, I have a confession to make to my regular listeners, by the way. I did say a week or so ago that we were coming up for my year's birthday, the year of doing the podcast. Well, I made a major mistake, because this week I got ultra efficient and decided to relabel all of my podcast episodes with the episode number on it so that people could find particular ones much easier. And because at the beginning of lockdown, my computer crashed and I lost everything. So I'd lost all of my background content and notes about the podcast. So I got together and got efficient this week to sort it all out. And actually, I discovered I've already had my first birthday. I am now on, I think, episode 54, 55. I missed it totally. So apologies for that. But anyway, that means we've been doing it over a year now to the regular listeners. and it means there are well over 52, 53 at least episodes for you to listen to if you're interested. I'm just going up a hill now, so I will stop this intro and we'll launch after a tiny gap and hesitation straight into the podcast. Also, midway in the podcast, I bump into some fellow walkers, and so there is a brief silence as I'm approaching them and a cheery good morning in the middle of it, so bear with. That's the downside of walking at the same time. It rarely happens around where I walk, but today it did. Anyway, enjoy the podcast. So today you're joining me on yet another gorgeous morning. It truly is. The last 2 days have been the hottest days that we've had this year, apparently. Scorchers. Today's a little bit better, but beautiful. And today, big announcement, you're actually joining me on a dog walk, but not just with Millie, our 3-year-old spaniel, but also with the puppy. She's now had her jabs, and she's able to come on a little walk with us. So she is exploring the world. What a great age when you're young and everything's new and it's all an adventure, and you're discovering and learning the ropes as well. She doesn't know my funny little words or signals, because I do hand signals with the dogs, which is why I often don't have to call to them when we're recording. That's not why I do them, but I do them. So she's got lots and lots to learn. She's got lots of routines to learn. So this is all new for her, which ironically is perhaps the theme for today's podcast. I thought actually what we'd do, a slightly different approach this week, again, because I'm 4 weeks in, I think, from my life skills and confidence program that I started early in June. We're on week 4. And because of popular demand, I started running another one alongside on a different day for people that couldn't make it on that day. And we've done week 1 this week. And because they proved so popular, they're small groups to make them safe and friendly and okay for delegates to explore their confidence and their struggles. Because they're small and they're popular, I'm going to continue to run them. So I will forever be putting on new dates on different days of the week to try and accommodate everybody's needs and what days they can or can't make. But what I thought I would do is just share some of the content for you and the material so that more people can benefit. So a slightly different approach this week. So the week 4 group this week we were covering the topics of confidence, how to expand your confidence, and in particular this week we were concentrating on getting out of our comfort zones or growing. We need to grow. We need some personal growth, because if we're not growing, then at best we're plateauing. And at worst, we're sort of stagnating and maybe even going slightly backwards in terms of our development. So we need always to be trying out new things, a bit like the puppy, exploring new things, whether it's our reading material or eating. And how many of us eat the same food all the time? I don't know about you, but I'm certainly catering for the family. And so tedious. What should we have today? And you go back to the old faithfuls. You know they'll eat it. You know it's easy. You know you've got the ingredients in. But it's sometimes so nice to have something different and try something different. So, I mean, it can be small things or it can be major things in life. But difference keeps us awake, keeps us alert, keeps us interested and keeps us alive. Whether it's food, whether it's activities, whether it's people that we see, seeing different people. Sometimes we've got some lovely, lovely dear friends who we see a lot of, and I wouldn't change that for the world. But sometimes we'll see old friends that we haven't seen in a while, and it's always lovely because you have different conversations. They're a different group of people, different lives, different even communities. So it's always so nice to get out and meet other people and have different conversation. Very, very different, because they may be in different walks of life or different careers, and maybe a different time of their life even. So difference, I think, really, really helps. Actually, we didn't cover any of this on the class this week. We've gone off piste already, as is my wont. So, getting out of our comfort zones. Now, we've talked about this. In fact, actually, one of the participants, it was perfect timing for her. We were talking about how we've got to feel comfortable feeling uncomfortable, because so often in life, opportunities and new things are often outside of our comfort zone. So if we're going to take up opportunities and new experiences and maximize our life and, embrace life fully, then of course we're going to have to get comfortable with being outside of our comfort zone. So we need to get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable, because we had talked about what it feels like outside of our comfort zone, and words like unfamiliar, unsafe, scary, uncertain came up. So we've got to feel comfortable with all of those feelings. And so we were talking about the fact that, for example, let's say your comfort zone, or you're outside of your comfort zone, and in fact stroke terror is speaking in public. Let's say we were discussing the possibilities of you standing up and speaking in front of an audience of 500. How would that make you feel if I said, now you need to do a big presentation on X, Y, and Z subject next Friday? How would you feel about that? Would you go into absolute blind panic, dread, feel sick, I can't do it, want to cry, or whatever? Would you embrace it? Okay, I've got a few days to rehearse, I've got some time to put the slides together. Yep, that's fine. Bit nervous, but I can do it. How would you feel on that scale? And I only say that because presenting to audiences or public speaking is the biggest adult fear from a poll, the number one fear. Number two, I've said this before, number two is fear of dying. So people presumably would rather die, some people would presumably rather die than stand up and speak in public. So I use that example because many of you listening now will think, no, that would just be right out of my comfort zone. Not all of you. So in the group, we were talking about the need to get out of our comfort zones, but I always add on that, but I'm not expecting you to jump massively out of it to such a point that it's absolute blind terror. I wouldn't, if one of the participants had a fear of public speaking, suggest that this week as their homework, they go and present to 500 people. That would be unrealistic for them at this stage, not necessarily in many weeks, but at this stage. But it may well be that they would feel comfortable and okay about talking to one or two people. If they're incredibly socially anxious, it may be to just speak up to one stranger a day. Just a one-liner in the supermarket or the petrol station, or a neighbour down the road that they pass on a walk that they wouldn't normally say good morning to. Make themselves say good morning. Lovely day, isn't it? Or something like that. Just a one-liner, not too scary. But actually make themselves do it. Decide, commit, take action. And that, what we're doing there is just stretching our comfort zone a small amount. We're just stepping out a small amount. It's scary, but it's okay. It's safe. No one's going to get hurt. No one's going to die. It's action, it's progress, and it's a step. And if you can imagine, on the whiteboard in the program on Wednesday, I drew a circle and entitled it Comfort Zone. And we talked about what it felt like inside it. We talked about what it felt like outside of it. But if you can imagine, just on the edge of that circle, maybe a few millimetres on the outside, almost imagine now a second circle, a wider, slightly larger one. That outside of it, just there, is your area of growth. That's where you can expand. That's where you can work safely in a not too scary way, but you're out of it, you're progressing, you're embracing it. And that's what I would suggest now for any of us, because it's always a good thing. Even if you think, well, actually, I've got a good comfort zone, it's quite a big one, I'm prepared to take most things on. I know that there's still areas for growth for you. I know there's still things out there that you would, or perhaps have turned down. In fact, actually, that's a good question. What have you turned down lately? And actually, in hindsight, it could have been a good thing. It would have been a good thing. Oh, why did I do that? Why did I resort to what's safe and easy? Who wants safe and easy? I mean, we all need it occasionally, but we also need some excitement, some liveliness, some experience, some memories. Because actually, the safe and easy, if you look back in the last year, all those safe and easy evenings that you've had or weeks that you've had, they all blend into one. The things that you will recall for the last year, it's worth doing. Sit down and recall the last year. What events stand out for you most? What makes you smile when you think about it and recall it? What makes you uncomfortable when you think about it and recall it? What makes you squirm and wish you hadn't done it? Or what makes you embarrassed? What makes you, because those are your memories. Those are the things that make us know we're alive. Those are the things that make us know we're living. The things that gave us real belly laughter, the things that gave us real joy, the things that we were really excited about beforehand. Maybe it was going to an event, an occasion that you dressed up for. You couldn't wait. It was great. It was lovely to see it. Or a holiday. With COVID-19, there may be less of these than I would have liked. Maybe there'll be less of these memories in the last year than any of us would have liked, depending on when you're listening to this. But then we'll cast your mind back to 2 years instead. What are the things that stand out for you most? And were you totally in your comfort zone? Because the things where you are totally in your comfort zone, you won't really remember them. In fact, actually, one participant on Wednesday that was in the group was perfectly timed, is starting a new job on Monday. So she definitely accepted that she is going to be, she knows, already feels out of her comfort zone. She doesn't know the ropes there. She doesn't know the routines and the processes. She doesn't know where her desk will be. She doesn't know the people there, or the expectations there. So even though she knows she can do the job and, she's got the skill set that's required, she's not nervous about that. She's not nervous about her ability to handle the tasks. She's just nervous because she doesn't know yet. It's unfamiliar. It's that feeling where you're out of your comfort zone. She doesn't know if she'll like everybody and vice versa. Will she fit in? Will it be a nice, warm company? Will they be friendly? Will there be some banter and fun? Will it be strict? Will it be, none of that yet does she know. And therefore, none of that yet can she adapt to. Because that's the other thing that we talked about in the group, was adapting to change. The sooner we adapt to circumstances, the better for us, the better for our mental health, the better for our productivity, the better for our sleep, the better for our well-being. What we resist persists. So if there's something going on and you're resisting it, it will persist and persist, and life will become very uncomfortable and very difficult. I draw on the analogy, actually, when I think of that, with how things have been with our dogs. Because 5 weeks ago, life was blissful for Millie. She was centre of our world. She had a great life. She had dog's paradise with us. Lovely, lovely walks in miles of woodlands around in different areas. You can hear her. She's just promptly arrived after hunting. And she was, spoilt rotten. The boys absolutely dote on her. She has a great life. And then we arrived with a little cat basket, in fact, with a little white and brown splodge in it. And she realised there was competition. There was a shift in everything in the home as this puppy came out of this cat basket. And I have to say, Millie was very, very upset about this. She was very unhappy. She did not like or accept the puppy for the first 24 hours. She was really anti it. In fact, very aggressive towards her, particularly around food, everything actually. Every move the puppy made, she watched and would go and tell her. And in dog world, there'd be growling and all sorts going on. There were a few fracas for the first 24 hours, and I had to watch them like a hawk because the little one was so tiny. But I had to also respect the fact that she was stamping her territory, and it had to be done. They had to go through this process. Millie had to accept. She had to she had to shift. She had to adapt. Within 48 hours, there was huge progress. I wasn't having to watch them quite so much, only really around food and food bowls and things like that. After 48 hours, I didn't have to watch them at all. She took just 48 hours to adapt to this new world, and to accept and embrace it. And she is such a happy dog now. They are such inseparable friends. Curl up together, sleep, eat together, share food, share bowls, play non-stop. Their tails constantly wagging. Now, she could have resisted that for a very long time. Very, very long time. And they'd say that it can sometimes take a week, 10 days, something like that. But not only have I seen such a loving, kind nature to her, which I knew was there, but was staggered at how deeply ingrained it was. But also I've seen how much happier she is as a result of just adapting and accepting and making the best of it. They now have a lovely, lovely time playing yesterday with the hose pipe together. And so she has now turned it around to her benefit. They get lots of little treats because I'm trying to train the little one with small things like sit, down, weights, all those things. So I'm doing it with both of them. So they both get constant treats, and she's fully embracing that. Now, I know this is a dog scenario and we can't apply that to ourselves, but where can you apply that? What have you been resisting? It may be because we're so recently still in COVID-19. It may be that you resisted the whole lockdown thing. You were angry, resistant. Or maybe you adapted to it. I think looking at the companies that adapted well, there were certain companies that adapted and embraced it and did phenomenally well. What would we have done without Zoom, without Amazon, without some of the supermarkets that were delivering? And in fact, my supermarket that still isn't delivering, and I possibly will not return to them because I have moved elsewhere because we've had to, and I've been really impressed with the service I've had elsewhere because my supermarket didn't rise to the challenge, didn't adapt. I know that some schools have really adapted and risen to the challenge whilst others haven't. I've been listening recently to a school in a local area that the parents are really beside themselves with disappointment and are in fact moving their children from September to other schools because they didn't rise to the challenge at all and got virtually no support from the school for online schooling, for homeschooling. So now we're in the next stage of it, almost out of it at the moment if we don't re-spike, and we're allowed to do quite a lot of things but not everything. How are we adapting to that? How are pubs and restaurants adapting and doing really well, and others aren't? They're still locked down. We went to Winchester yesterday and such a lot are open and doing takeaway services with a one-way system in their property. So you go in, order whatever it is, and go and sit outside on the grass, and you pick up your food and your drink item, and then go out the back door round. So it's a one-way system with hand sanitizers, etc. Whereas their neighbours next door are closed or still boarded up completely. It's about adapting. It's about seeing what you can control. It's about seeing what's in your control, what you can do about the circumstances, what best situation you can. And that's resilience, which was the other topic we were covering on Wednesday. Resilience. My belief about resilience is the determination, really, to thrive no matter what your circumstance. the ability to bounce back from any scenario. Oh, you may be about to hear the first little fracas between the dogs because they've got something that they both want and there's only one off. Anyway, so the ability really, no matter what your circumstances right now, and I don't know when you're listening to this, to get out of your comfort zone, even if it's just a small amount, but that's the area of growth anyway, so that you're growing, you're developing, you're expanding, and therefore you are stretching your comfort zone. As I said to the delegate who's moving job on Monday, yes, she is nervous, and Monday will be fairly anxiety-provoking for her. But as I said to her, the first is always worst of anything. The first presentation, the first date, the first day at work, day at uni, day at college, wherever. And as I asked her, do you think day 4, do you think by Thursday it will be as anxiety-provoking as Monday? And she absolutely felt no, it won't be. The first day, the first is worse, get that out of the way. The second is a little bit easier. The third is much easier. The fourth, and soon, depending on the circumstances, on what the subject matter, but very soon that then becomes your comfort zone. She very quickly will be totally in her comfort zone in that role, because she'll know all the ropes, she'll have made friends, she knows the processes and the routines and the expectations, and she will go there without a second thought. So, my takeaway from the class really was to proactively get out of our comfort zones regularly. With many different topics, all sorts of different topics, from small up to large. Secondly, adapt to things quickly. Anything. Think about whatever comes your way, and things will come your way. Big things. Who saw COVID-19 coming our way? None of us really. Well, maybe the odd scientist. But we had to adapt. We had no choice. We had to adapt. What we did on Wednesday was to all consider a tough time that we've been through in life. And you can do this now. Consider a tough time that you've had in your past and reflect back on how well did you handle it. What inner qualities did you have that you drew on now that you reflect back? Was it an absolute stoic determination to get through and to get through well? Was it a real strength that you had and positivity? Was it a good sense of humour? Was it a sense of optimism? Was it spirituality? Was it a willingness to tell people how you were feeling and get lots of support around you? Was it a determination not to talk about it and just get on with it and not dwell on it? What did you do? Looking back, how did you get through that tough time? What inner strengths did you have that you drew on and therefore still have and therefore still can draw on? Because if we're aware of it, we know we've got them banked. So that's an exercise definitely worth looking at. However, on the other hand, it may well be that you look back on that tough time and you realise, well, actually, I didn't handle it that well. I didn't maintain a sense of humour or optimism or determination. I kind of went to pieces. I wallowed in mud. I was angry. I was bitter. I blamed. And that equally, if not more, is life-changing. If you're able to reflect back on that and think, well, if I had my time over again, now I know what I know, I should have got out of that much sooner. I could have done X, Y, and Z. I could have turned to others or given myself a pep talk or told my friend how I was feeling and get up, get on, etc. So the important thing is that we look back and we reflect and we learn, because if we do that, it's not been a wasted tough time at all. In fact, it's not been a mistake at all. It's been a big learning. Morning. That's proof that I do record these live. That was just some fellow walkers. That's because of COVID-19, there are many, many more people out walking now. So it's less likely that I can just do this very quietly in a wood by myself, because there are so many more people in the areas that there never used to be. Also, the puppy is very nervous of new people. She knows who she knows, and when strangers come in, it's very scary for her. Again, it's out of her comfort zone, so we can, although it's scary, she plucked up courage to come running around. Now she feels fine. And in a week or two, when we've had a few more of these walks and she's met many more strangers, that will feel absolutely second nature to her, as it does to our older dog, who really didn't bat an eyelid with that at all. Talking of comfort zones, that's exactly how it would be and could be for you on that subject area. So, for the rest of this week, I would recommend as a coach, in order to grow your confidence, which is what I do believe all of us could do. It's an ongoing project. It's a bit like maintaining a garden. It never really stops. We're always having to tweak our confidence. Our confidence can take knocks and dents at different times in our life, depending on what's coming our way. That's life. So we're constantly building our confidence and attending to it and nurturing it. And the more confidence we have, the higher the confidence, the more we're likely to achieve. The more happier we are, the better mental health we will have. Confidence has been found to be the foundation of everything we do or don't do. So that's my goal for these podcasts, is to help everybody listening to grow and develop and expand their confidence, because that means it will have a ripple effect in every area of your life: personal life, career, business, if you run a business, relationships, your social side, your activities, your pursuits and your hobbies. All of them rely on us having some confidence, because trust me, I work with people who have very little confidence at the beginning, and they are doing very, very little in life. If they're younger, if they're sort of late teens, they're often just staying in their bedroom and not socialising at all, not going to college, not doing well in job interviews, therefore not getting a job, and very, very all because of this such low confidence levels. Once we start building the confidence levels, the rest slot into place. They will go for those jobs. They will interview better. They will go out and socialise. They will start to mix and start dating and experiencing hobbies and things like that. So life just opens up as your confidence grows. It's definitely something we will all benefit from by expanding and working on and nurturing and tending, just as we would our garden or a house, whatever. So go out there and look for opportunities, or create opportunities for you to get out of your comfort zone, challenge yourself a little bit and feel comfortable with it, settle with it, and then do it again, and then do it again. With anything that you're resisting, anything perhaps negative or challenging or potentially difficult, adapt to it. Find out what's in your control. Adapt what you can control, and be resilient and determined to thrive no matter what, with that goal of, I'm going to come through this, I'm going to thrive, I'm going to succeed, I'm going to be happy at the end of this, I'm going to be okay, I'm going to come out the other side. And know that you will, and you can. You absolutely can, with the right mindset. So, have a really good and confident week. If you are interested in looking at the Confidence and Life Skills program, then drop me an email and I can send you an outline of the course, or drop me a day of the week that would be ideal for you, because as the next program hasn't been scheduled yet, because I'm trying to gauge what day of the week is most popular for the demand. So if you want to register your interest in for a particular day or time, of day, then do. And you never know, that may well be able to be put on for you and other people, a small group. So my email is dawn@milestone, that's all one word, mileston, milestone, -coaching.co.uk. I'll say that again because I broke those up. dawn@milestone-coaching.co.uk. And if you want to instead visit the website and look at various things, there are other programs. There's a stress management, for example, online group coaching program, which is shorter. I think that's 3 weeks. Then do www.milestone-coaching.co.uk. And you can contact me there with various contact me buttons. So if I don't hear from you, then have a really, really good week. And I'm looking forward to talking to you on next week's episode of Life Coaching on the Move.